Hello.
And welcome.
It's the Graveyard Girls, a true crime and mysteries podcast.
Yes.
We have a little update.
Yes, we do have a little update. I was obviously scrolling through social media and I came across the podcast of Morbid Podcast, who we've been following for a little while. And they also covered the Somerton man, like we did. And they've found out that they now have the actual results back for the DNA. They've actually been able to name who the Somerton man is. It's still unknown how he came to his
die.
death.
Yes.
But he now has a name. So thank you to them for pointing that out, because it meant I could pass it on to Natasha for her to just double check.
Yeah, so I looked on BBC's coverage of it, and he is Carl, also known as Charles Webb. That who is the Somerton man. So at least he finally has a name.
Yeah, he has a name.
Rather than, what did we call him? Did we call him Charles?
No, it was Jeffrey Bobbitt.
Jeffrey Bobbitt hat. Yes. I'm sorry we named you that, but now you have your name back and it's Carl Webb.
Okay.
I did see if he was related to the nurse, but there was nothing on that.
Absolutely nothing. So
No.
how strange, because it was so centred around that, and then it's ended up being nothing related to that.
Well, that we know of at this time.
Okay.
So they know who he is, but yeah.
So is the family Australian, or are they from somewhere else?
They are Australian.
Oh, okay. Because obviously they were suspecting before that he might have come from another country.
Russia, yes. But yeah, so he's been found. Well,
brilliant.
Well, he was found a long time.
We know who he is. We have his identity.
Yes. So at least
so he's no longer unmarked. They can give him an actual gravestone now.
Yeah, so what were the projects who were trying to find unknown people? At least they can put his name on his grave now.
Yeah, he's not an unknown man anymore.
No, that's good. So their hard work, and the Dr. Abbott has found who he is.
Yes. So no, it's a good conclusion. It's nice. It's kind of been solved. I mean, there's still a lot of mystery around it, but it's kind of been solved. So that's good.
I want to say that we solved it, but we clearly did not. We had nothing to do with it.
Maybe we sparked extra interest in the scientists and encouraged them to work even harder to get the DNA back.
Even though I think they started the research before we even started the podcast.
It's fine. We continue to encourage them. That's what it was.
Okay. It's like, keep going. Keep going, scientists.
They were about ready to give up, and they were like, we'll do just one more test for Natasha and Amelia. And
Graveyard Girls. There we go. We're taking the credit.
But yes, anyway, back to today and our current case. What do you have for me today?
I have a case that was recommended by Tom.
Okay.
He thinks you'd like this case. I don't know why.
It's not going to be alien, is it, Natasha?
Maybe I could work an alien theory into this. I'm going to do that for every single one. And you will never suspect. Okay, so in about 1756 to 57, William Kate married Elizabeth Lyons. They moved to Stoke Ferry, where William kept an inn and then later on a local post office. During her pregnancy, Elizabeth's sister Frances, also known as Fanny, moved in.
Is this why Thomas has selected it for me?
It's part of it.
Oh, so there's more. There's more Fanny.
There's a lot more Fanny. Unfortunately, Elizabeth died during childbirth.
Oh, unfortunate.
Fanny stayed to care for the baby, who was a boy, and then in another unlucky event, the baby too died. Rather than leave, Fanny stayed to care for William and the house. They soon began a relationship, but canon law would not let the pair marry.
Oh, so Fanny and Dick are together.
Fanny and Willie? Yes, they are together. William travelled to London for legal advice, and because Elizabeth bore him a son, he couldn't marry Fanny.
Oh, I'm sorry, what? So if he'd had a daughter, they could have?
Oh, I don't know. I think it was just because at the time the son was still alive.
Oh, so he's like an heir?
Yes.
Right,
I think it was weird canon law. I looked into it and it was just like, because there was a living child.
Oh, right, okay.
And they said son. But then the son died, but then I think because there was like a child born through that family already.
Oh, okay.
He couldn't marry into that family again, which is weird.
I mean, it is and it isn't, but it also would be like you marrying your sister's boyfriend after she died.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, you wouldn't do
Yeah,
that.
you would have said no thank you.
Like, yeah, your penis has been in my sister.
Exactly. Yeah, this is what I don't get. Like, why would you... Like, no, I couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't go for any of my sister's boyfriends. They're not my type.
No. I don't think... No. Okay. Moving on. So, in January of 1759, he gave up the post office, left Fanny, and moved to London in the hope that, quote, business would erase the passion he unfortunately indulged, end quote. Fanny stayed with one of her brothers in Lynham.
Right, okay.
You're being very well behaved right now.
I know. I'm trying to allow you to execute the facts of this case without me giggling Fanny every 30 seconds.
Giggling Fanny, okay. Despite her family's disapproval of their relationship, Fanny began to write passionate letters to William, quote, filled with repeated entries to spend the rest of their lives together, end quote. He eventually allowed her to join him in London.
Oh, we missed Fanny.
He did miss Fanny. I mean, he could have found another one. But
He didn't want another one. He wanted that Fanny and Natasha.
the two decided to live together as man and wife, making wills in each other's
So
favour.
they're naughty.
Yes,
Naughty
they are.
Fanny.
Making wills in each other's favour and hoping to remain discreet.
I don't know. It depends how naughty they were.
They moved to lodgings near Mansion House, but their new landlord found out about their relationship, presumably from
Because they're being noisy.
because they'd been noisy, or from Fanny's family. And so he refused to pay William back some money he owed him. In response, William had him arrested, which is weird. Why would
You draw
Your
attention to it as well.
yeah? But why would your landlord owe you money? Which is
Maybe
weird.
he gave him some money for the thing and it was a bit too much and he then was supposed to give it him back.
And then just don't pay him that amount.
That's a good point.
Just take the money out,
I don't know.
right? And then,
Unless he borrowed money for something different, like a debt, or something completely unrelated.
true. Okay. Then just don't pay him any rent.
Yeah, that's true. That still applies.
But I think it's probably because he found out about their relationship and he was like, "I'll have you arrested."
I don't like Fanny.
No, he likes Willie instead. The couple attended an early morning prayers at a local church where they met the officiating clerk, Richard Parsons.
Dick.
There is another Dick. He listened to their plight and he offered them a room at his home on Cock Lane.
Oh, fuck off. So we've got 3 Dicks
Yes.
and a Fanny.
Yes.
I mean, technically 2 because the first Fanny died and then he started messing around with first Fanny's sister Fanny.
And now they reside on Cock Lane.
Yeah, and fell out with a cock. Yeah, with a dick.
Also, why? What's
Why
your
is everyone
name?
related? Why is everyone named Fanny or Dick in the olden times?
I think that's just probably...
Was it so frowned upon that they just found clever ways of inserting it into...
Ooh, maybe.
You know how, like, for years, up until, like, the
Yeah.
90s, you still could say, like, penis on TV. So
Yeah.
was it just a clever way
This
of
is them
inserting
rebelling,
it?
yeah. Yeah, because, like, why would you? Unless at that time it didn't mean that.
What body part do you think you'd be, Natasha? Are we naming you Fanny?
I'd say an arse.
Nipple.
Nipple.
Nipple for Natasha.
Oh, okay. What are you then?
I don't know.
An anus.
Arse.
No, I wouldn't be an arse. Anyway, why would you name, like, something Cock Lane? Would it be after chickens?
Possibly.
Still a weird name.
I don't know. There's like cock soup, isn't there? I'm sure there is. I just made that up. I'm sure there is.
So yes, Cock Lane is just north of the church. It was a 3-story house in a respectable but declining area, and although it sounds like a quite large home, it only had one room on each floor.
Right, okay.
So it's like I kind
So
of
they're built up rather than out.
Yeah, I think that's consistent with like London.
Tall, skinny cock, long, skinny cock.
I could see where you were going. I was just like... So
sorry, I'm very distracted.
all the rooms were connected with a winding staircase. So it's not very private.
No, but it wasn't then. Like, basically, I had
No.
several families in one house.
Can you imagine that? How are you having... No.
I just think people just didn't care.
But clearly they do, because then it's like, oh, you cannot have sex with anyone who you are not married to.
You can't, but you can listen in.
You can listen in, yes. I don't...
It's God's will, Natasha.
God's will. Anyway, while William was away at a wedding in the country, reports of strange noises began in the home. Richard and his wife had 2 daughters, and before he left, William asked the eldest daughter, Elizabeth, who was 11, to stay with Fanny, who was several months pregnant, and asked Elizabeth to share their bed with Fanny while he was away, which is weird.
He likes girl on girl.
She's 11.
Doesn't matter.
Also, she's
11 at that point. She's old enough to marry. It's fine.
She's on her 17th child.
Yeah.
Also weird. She's also called Elizabeth, and that was the name of his first wife.
That's why he likes her.
She's 11.
Is her sister called Fanny as well?
I'm not sure what her sister's name is. It's probably undocumented.
She was titties.
So yes, it's a bit weird that an 11-year-old is staying in the bed with a maybe 20-something-year-old.
Yeah.
It's just, why would you need her to... It's a
don't know.
room away. All you have to do is call for her and she'll be there.
I don't know.
It's weird. Anyway. The 2 reported hearing scratching and rapping noises. Richard's wife attributed these to a neighbouring cobbler, but when the noises were heard on Sundays, when obviously no one worked, this debunked the cobbler theory. James Fraser visited the Cock Lane residence. He reported seeing a ghostly white figure ascend the stairs. Terrified, he left and returned home. Richard later then came to see him and also claimed to see the ghost.
Right, okay.
As Fanny was only a few weeks from giving birth, William made arrangements for a new home for them, but by January 1760 the home wasn't ready, so they temporarily moved to an inconvenient apartment, whatever that means.
Oh, it's up 20 flights of stairs.
Probably, yeah, actually, yes. On the 25th of January, Fanny fell ill.
Poor Fanny.
She was diagnosed with with early stages of an eruptive fever, and agreed. So the doctor who was overseeing Fanny, he agreed that the apartment wasn't good for someone who was in a critical stage of pregnancy. So Fanny was moved to the residence William had arranged for them. At the new place, the doctor returned and met with her apothecary, who both agreed that Fanny's symptoms were indicative of smallpox. She died on the 2nd of February.
Oh no. Dead Fanny.
Dead Fanny. So we're going back to Cock Lane.
Where there's lots of dicks.
Yeah, I've just realised that I did the phallus court.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm trying to tell me something.
You've been deprived of dick.
I have.
I could have told you that, Natasha.
Richard, like William's previous landlord, owed him money and refused to pay him back. So William sued him. This is when the strange noises began.
No.
Some
sure
of
it's
the...
not just some noisy neighbours?
Yeah, I mean, because everyone's
You're definitely
living.
hearing everyone at it.
Yeah.
Or did just no one make any noise? They're weird.
What was that? You just hear the...
Yeah. The lead
No.
creaking.
Maybe it was sinful to make noises.
Yeah. So everyone, you had to do it in silence. But then I feel like it turned into weird, awkward eye contact because you can't make a noise. You'd be like, she's still alive.
Yeah.
You gotta check.
Would it? It's got to be pleasurable, isn't it, for the woman at that time?
I don't think they cared, Natasha.
Yeah, I mean, true. Anyway, where am I? The strange noises apparently emanated from Elizabeth, who also suffered fits.
Okay.
So maybe witches are involved.
Oh, maybe.
Or, probably not.
A witchy Fanny.
The house was regularly disturbed by unexplained noises. Some that sounded like a cat scratching a chair, which is very specific.
Yes, and a bit strange.
Yes. Reportedly, Richard
Did they have a cat?
I don't know.
Because if they didn't have a cat, then it's definitely strange.
I assume they did not have a cat.
Okay.
Maybe it's just rats.
Probably for the
Dirty
time.
London, and it's a declining area. Anyway, Richard was so determined to find the source of the noises that he had the panelling of Elizabeth's bed removed. Obviously, nothing was found. Richard then approached John Moore, who was an assistant preacher at the same church that Richard was a clerk at.
Did you say John?
John.
There's another dick.
John Moore. As this ghost appeared before Fanny's death and continued as she was on her deathbed, the pair believed the ghost was Fanny's sister Elizabeth.
Oh no. Fanny number 1 came back.
She's unhappy.
Not angry that he's messing around with another
No.
Fanny.
Exactly.
Sorry, I distracted you.
Yes, you did. After
Fanny everywhere.
There is a lot of Fanny on this page. After Fanny's death, the pair then concluded that because the noises and scratches continued, that the spirit now haunting them was the ghost of Fanny. I don't get why they're so adamant that it's Elizabeth and then Fanny and not still Elizabeth. I don't know. And unfortunately, because of the way the ghost communicated was through scratching, she got the name Scratching Fanny. This is why Tom
Not
wanted me
itchy
to
Fanny.
do it. Not itchy, she's scratching.
Does she have a stinky bush?
No one's going to understand that reference.
Natasha has a stinky bush.
No. At school, I said there was a smelly bush outside the school.
Oh, what happened was we were talking about, it started off with, we used to have lavender outside the swimming bath, and obviously it was smelly. And then we started talking about other things that were stinky. And Natasha turned around and went, I had a stinky bush at school.
I had a stinky bush at school. Outside the school. It was very smelly. It's probably...
So Natasha had a stinky bush.
I can take you to
while
this bush.
she was at school.
I will take you to this bush and you can smell it. It stinks.
I don't want to smell your stinky bush.
No, you don't. It's really smelly.
So yeah, Natasha's a stinky bush.
It's because I'm swampy.
It is.
You go to behave yourself.
No.
Okay.
Very mature.
During this time, my cheeks hurt. During this time, it was a common held belief that a person's spirit may return to warn those still alive. And now they believed that there were two restless spirits. This was therefore an obvious sign that to both men that these ghosts had an important message to disclose. You can see that, right? My hand's hurting at this point because I can't read my writing. Richard and John devised a method.
Dick and Dick.
Dick and Dick devised a method of communication: 1 knock for yes, 2 for no.
Okay.
Using this system, the ghost appeared to claim that Fanny had been murdered. It was conjectured that James Frazen's saw was presumably the ghost of Elizabeth to warn her sister of her impending death.
Oh.
This first ghost then disappeared, and through repeated questioning of Fanny's ghost, she apparently didn't die of smallpox but of arsenic poisoning.
Oh.
Which was apparently administered by William just 2 hours before her death. Fanny's other sister, Anne, had complained that her coffin lid was screwed down so she couldn't see her sister one last time.
Oh, so couldn't confound the smallpox.
Yes, this is... John thought this was done because Fanny's body didn't show any signs of smallpox, and William didn't want others to find out that Fanny didn't die of the disease. So
Right,
yeah,
okay.
you're correct.
Covering up the murder.
As a clergyman with inclinations towards Methodism, he was inclined to trust the ghost, but for added support and confirmation, John enlisted the help of Thomas Broughton. He visited Cock Lane and left convinced the ghost was real.
Right, okay.
The story spread through London, and the Public Ledger began to publish detailed accounts of the phenomena, and William fell under public suspicion as a murderer.
Okay, I kind of see where this is coming from, to be fair. I kind of get it. I don't think it's impossible. He could have killed his wife. I quite like a murder mystery, maybe that's what it is.
Maybe, but...
Dick killed Fanny.
But, like... What? Why would a ghost... I don't know, like... How
I don't
would...
believe in the ghosty
No.
warning the other bit.
No.
But the whole... not being able to see her because the thingy was screwed down, like, they would have made a request that they wanted an open casket.
Okay,
So
yeah,
for
yeah.
that not to be done, I kind of get like, it does sound a little bit suspicious, and it
Okay.
ties in nicely with the ghosty story.
Of course, I think that's the thing. It's like, oh, it's another thing that's adding to
Yeah.
because like, oh, you don't believe the ghost theory, but her
We
sister
couldn't see her
Yeah.
dead body, yeah.
and then
We couldn't
obviously
see Fanny.
and then Fanny's family wouldn't. They obviously disapproved of their relationship. So this is another thing. Like, oh, he murdered her
Yeah.
because it was so wrong. That like, why would they go through all that just so he would murder her?
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, back to the story. After reading the veiled accusations, William was determined to clear his name. So with a friend, he went to see John. William admitted him and Fanny weren't married, and John told him he believed he was not a murderer, but rather the spirit's presence indicated that there was something darker, and if William went to the house, he'd believe the ghost was real.
Right.
So William, Thomas, and 2 physicians who attended Fanny in her final days went to Cock Lane, which is like, just ask the physicians if she died of smallpox, really.
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah.
On the upper floor, poor Elizabeth was publicly undressed, sat on the bed in the middle of the room, and the audience sat around her.
Oh.
I don't get why she was stripped naked.
No, neither
She's
do I.
11.
Yeah, it's a bit pervy and
Yeah,
weird, and
these are all men.
old men as well, I bet.
Yeah, I don't like it. So yeah, they were warned that the ghost was sensitive to disbelief.
Right, okay.
So I think they're like setting up the scene. When the seance began, Mary Fraser, who was a relative at the Parsons, ran around the room shouting, Fanny, why don't you come? Do come. Pray, Fanny, come, dear Fanny, come.
Did she come?
She did not come. Why would it? When nothing happened, John told the group the ghost wouldn't appear because they were making too much noise and they should leave the room, and said he would try to contact her by stomping his foot.
Oh.
Maybe that would make her come.
Maybe it would shock her into it.
Also, they're not making the noise. Mary, who is the relative, is making all the noise. Is she like running around the room? Mary, Fanny. It's just so weird. About 10 minutes later, they were told the ghost was there and they should enter the room.
All right, okay.
The ghost is down there. John then
She
went.
came. Finally.
She finally came after about 10 minutes of stomping. John then went through his and Richard's questions. Are you the wife of Mr. Kent? 2 knocks, which is no, right?
Okay.
Yes. Did you die naturally? 2 knocks. By poison? 1 knock. Did any person other than Mr. Kent administer it? 2 knocks. A member of the audience exclaimed to William, ask this ghost if you should be hanged. So William did. 1 knock. William exclaimed, thou art lying, spirit. Thou art not the ghost of my Fanny. She would never have said such a thing.
What would Fanny say?
Public interest grew in the story as it was discovered that the ghost appeared to follow Elizabeth. She was moved to a residence, and then the scratching and noises began to happen there. She was then returned to Cock Lane. Many seances were held, and this young girl was always at the centre of them, which is a bit strange.
And not at all suspicious.
No. Sometimes in the homes of others, and not just in Cock Lane, the seances were held. Mr. Bruin held one in his home on nearby Hosier Lane, and this was attended by a man who, quote, extremely desirous of detecting the fraud and discovering the truth of this mysterious affair, end quote. William Kent began an investigation of his own, too. Richard refused to reveal the whereabouts of his daughter because of this. Because of all the seances and the story in the public ledger, Cock Lane was inundated with enormous queues, all hoping
So
to
we're queuing up for Cock.
yes, all hoping to witness the ghost. So Cock Lane became impassable.
Mm-hmm.
There's Cock blocked, I guess.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was a small
In the search for Fanny.
yes. Oh yeah, they're all after Fanny.
There's not a clitoris fall by any.
There is an island.
Or couldn't they find that one?
There's a man-made island, and I think it's somewhere in America. I'm not sure which state it is in, but it's shaped.
Oh no.
Yeah, and the house is where the clip. I'm sure I've got to find it. I don't know where it is. Obviously, there was a small fee to pay to enter the home.
Oh, right, okay.
And obviously, if you
So
go
you
back,
pay for Fanny.
yes, you got to pay. You do have to pay for Fanny.
Okay.
There's an entrance fee, and and obviously, if you remember, Richard was kind of struggling for some money.
Oh,
As
okay.
he
Oh,
didn't-
I see.
He didn't pay William back, did he?
Yes, he's got me that money back somehow.
Mm. So the father and daughter duo then took the show on the road. The ghost told the gathered crowds it would follow Elizabeth everywhere. An investigator asked it to prove it. Obviously, nothing happened. An investigation committee took Elizabeth to a house of a clergyman and asked to communicate with Fanny. The ghost could only produce knocks, which made them suspicious.
Which it would, to be fair.
Mm-hmm. Elizabeth was repeatedly tested for days with her father's approval so she could prove the ghost was real. The noises continued, but once she was asked to keep her hands and feet outside of the bed, the noises stopped.
Interesting, that, isn't it?
A little bit interesting, yes. For two nights, the noises stopped, and Elizabeth was told that if no more noises were heard, she and her father would be going to prison.
Right.
Her maids then saw her conceal a small piece of wood and informed the investigators. Unsurprisingly, the scratching resumed the next day. They concluded that Elizabeth was responsible for the noises and she was being forced by her father. She was allowed home after this.
Okay, so she doesn't get in trouble for it.
Yes, the duo didn't stop. They claimed that the ghost would appear to anyone who visited her burial vault. The investigation committee visited the vault. Nothing happened. Richard had remarked that William's presence alone would be sure enough to rouse the angry spirit, so William was brought to the vault. Again, nothing but silence. Exhausted of fighting years of accusations, he insisted on opening her coffin. This led to the end of everything.
Oh.
Richard Parsons, his daughter, and other conspirators were found guilty of defamation and ordered to pay William a substantial amount for the distress caused.
Oh, so all that money he's just made from his little show, he's now got to pay William.
Yes. Well, he shouldn't have lied in the first place, should he?
No, it seems a bit silly.
Protesting his innocence, Richard was sentenced to 2 years in prison and was ordered to stand in the stocks 3 times before being released. So I don't know how much the others had to pay. I think he was the only one who had to go to prison.
Okay. But he just seemed the main instigator in it all, to be fair.
Well, yeah, because it seemed to start when he owed William money.
Yes.
So
Did he kill Fanny?
Oh, maybe he had an infected blanket, so he gave her smallpox,
Oh.
like the colonists did with the Native Americans. Maybe. And this isn't the end of the Cock Lane ghost,
Oh. There's more cock.
because it lived on in literature and the theatre ever since, in the works of Oliver Goldsmith and William Hogarth. Dickens also featured the ghost with Mrs. Nickleby, who claimed that her great-grandfather went to the school with the Cock Lane ghost. So it's just full of dicks.
The Fannies.
And Fanny's. Oh, just knock the mic. So that's the story that Tom wanted me to do for you.
A scratching Fanny.
He thought you'd like it.
I did like it.
Yeah.
A very giggly one, so I do apologise. I feel like this episode has been more me sniggering than...
I think you've been more well behaved than I think you would have been, I think. I'm not sure.
I think it's also because I'm conscious of the fact that I still have to do some more recording today and I have to then try and be sensible.
Yes, I know.
Normally, like with the phallus one, we couldn't continue because it just left me a bit deranged. I think because I've been a bit deprived for a bit too long.
To be
and
fair,
then became distracted and couldn't concentrate anymore.
I know, I started off really well in that, and then I was like, oh, I've gone really sleepy.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I can't continue now.
we got a bit overexcited.
Oh, yeah. Got a bit overexcited thinking of
Phalluses.
Yes. Phallus. Dionysuses.
But yeah, no, I enjoyed the case of Fanny.
So
and
it's
the
not-
multiple dicks.
I guess it wasn't a true crime. It's almost like a miscarriage of justice /
It is.
someone's trying to make money.
Because how did she die if it wasn't smallpox?
I think it was smallpox.
Oh, okay.
I think the physicians were correct.
Oh, okay.
Also, why didn't they speak up at that time when they went to the seance and be like, actually, we
Went
went
to
to see
see
her.
a naked 11-year-old girl laying on a bed.
No, well, don't say that. Don't make
just
it
saying.
creepy.
It is creepy.
It is
Like, they were
creepy.
probably in their 50s and she's like 11. They were like, ooh, she could be my next wife.
Yeah, probably, because they're like, oh, my 9-year-old wife just died. No, I don't like it. It's weird.
Yes. On that note.
No, thank you for listening. Keep creeping.
And we'll keep digging.